It's a new year, and it's a new you. Welcome to Words of Wisdom. My name is Carolyn Willman, and we are going to talk about aligning to your goals this year using Helene Hadsel's famous SPEC method. Now, if you have any questions or comments as we go through this, please come to the comment section and we can chat and I can answer questions as we go along. It's here in the book, and it was originally written in 2009 as an article because, if you might remember, in 2009, there was a bit of a financial crisis and she noticed a lot of people were despondent. So she decided to take her teachings, and she loved her wordplay, and she wrote out the SPEC method. She submitted the article to the Sun magazine and they published it. So I have that original article. There is a blog post on my site with it. So you can see the original article. And then that's what she taught because it was easier to remember than the original method that she taught in her book, which was the 3-step method. It was set a goal, never entertain any doubts, and you can con yourself into anything. It's not as whimsical and it's not as clear. So that's the thing. As we go along our journey, we learn and we grow and we develop new skills. And one of the skills that she developed the older she got was writing. She actually took courses, and that's how she came out with a fiction book. So she got better with her prose through practice, just like everybody else in life. How do you get good at something? Practice. It's not that hard to do something. You just have to put in the work. Now, some people are more talented in some areas than others, but it doesn't mean that you can't participate in whatever activity is. Like, I love to cook and bake. I'm not going to be a Michelin star chef, but it doesn't make my enjoyment of cooking any less diminished, right? So she's not going to be a Newbery Award winning author because her book is a little quirky, but it could be a Hallmark movie. It's very whimsical and very feel good. So I could see it as a series that you might stream someday. But anyway, here's why I wanted to talk about this, because it is a new year. And the one thing Helene loved to teach was there is never any failure, only a delay in results. And so as you go through the year, you have to remember there are 12 months. A lot of people, we make these resolutions. We say, this is the year I'm going to, hit this goal, get that goal done, do this, do that. And then nothing happens. Or, by the end of January, they've just lost all their motivation and steam and they give up, and that's the end of that. And I want you to remember that we have 12 months. It might not be good for you to start what you're doing right now in the middle of the winter. It might be better for you to start in the spring, depending on what your goal is. Because again, this is a goal for 2026, not a goal for January. You might have January goals in there. Like, you might have had a big goal and chunked it down. That's a little different. But I want to go through her SPEC method and go through each section and each letter, I guess, and help you use the SPEC method for your goals. And the beautiful thing is Helene isn't teaching anything new, so to speak. As they say, there is nothing new under the sun. The reason there's so many popular teachers out there, and there have been, and we've all grown, like the teachers that taught in the 1900s, the teachers that taught in the 20s and 30s improved in that. The teachers that taught in the 50s and 60s improved on that. I'm standing on the shoulders of the men and women that taught in this, 70s and 80s. And we just keep growing. And there's going to be a generation that teaches new concepts and ideas based on what I'm teaching today. And that's how it works. So the first thing you want to do is select a goal. Now, this might sound so obvious. But the problem is most people aren't specific. It really should say, select a specific goal. So for example, if you want to get healthier and release some pounds, you don't want to lose the pounds, because when you lose something like your keys, you want to find them. You want to let them go. You want to release them. Say the number's 20, right? But if you just say, I want to let go of some weight, you could let go of an ounce by tomorrow and you've accomplished your goal. My favorite story about this that I heard when I was doing all reading, I used to listen to audio tape series and CDs and go to seminars. And I've been doing this stuff for 40 years. Love it. My dad gave me a motivational book when I was 18. And he said, if I can teach you at 18 what I learned at 36, you'll be way ahead. And one of the things that I learned was it was a tape series. I'm pretty sure it was the Aladdin Factor. I have the Aladdin Factor in my head by Jack Canfield. I think Mark Victor Hansen's in that one too. And he's teaching a seminar, similar idea. Start with goals. Like you if you don't know where B is, how are you going to get there from A? Right? Otherwise, you can just drive around. If I told you to come pick me up at the airport, or I said, can you just come pick me up? But I was at the airport, but you didn't know that. You would just drive around aimlessly. If I say, come pick me up at the airport, you know exactly where to go. It's just the same thing. So he's teaching this course. And so they were discussing their goals. And one fella said, I want more money. So Jack reaches into his pocket, tosses the guy a quarter. Says, there you go. Guy goes, what's that? He goes, more money. He goes, I want more than that. He goes, well, you weren't specific. So he taught him that you have to say, I want $100,000 by December 31st, 2026, or whatever the goal is. You need to be very specific. So I want you to think about your goals and then also why you want them. Okay? Because a lot of people come and say to me, and Helene has 3 articles. There's 3 articles by Helene Hatzel herself I've posted them on the website. If you just use the search feature for the word lottery, you'll get them. A lot of people want to know how to win the lottery. First of all, if I knew how to win the lottery, like manifesting specific numbers, I wouldn't be doing this. But also that's not my goal. I prefer sweepstakes. I don't focus on the lottery. I buy tickets occasionally when I feel lucky, but it's not my main objective. Being financially sound and secure and abundant, you never want to be financially free, because people in jail are financially free. They have no responsibilities. More people want to be financially abundant. So they have a house, maybe a mortgage, car payments. If you're financially abundant and responsible, you have, even if your car and house, for example, are completely paid for, you still have insurance, maintenance, heating, hydro, water, property taxes, car insurance, gas, maintenance. You still have financial responsibilities. So you want to be financially abundant. You don't want to be financially free. Remember that because your words matter. There's a book. Her name is Laura. I should have memorized this. I'll put it in the show notes. When I'm done, I'll go get the link. She did a podcast with Aubrey. I know his last name escapes me. I'll link to that too. And she wrote a book on spelling. When we learn how to spell, think about our language, how specific it is. When we're learning our letters, we're learning how to spell. Words really matter. So be specific when you're setting your goals. So set your goals. And when you set your goals, you say, I want a new car, or I want to move, or I want that coach, or I want this new job. I want you to do something that most people don't do. I want you to drill down. And what do I mean by drill down? I want you to think about why you want what you want. Okay. Do you want to feel safe and secure? Do you want to feel relief because you don't have looming debt? Do you want to feel relaxed? Because even when the bills come in, it doesn't matter. You have the money. You just pay the gas bill and the phone bill and the grocery bill. It's not a worry. You're just relaxed about it. Oh, I'm so lucky. I was able to afford all that food this month and take my family out and do this or go on that trip. You're just relaxed about it. It's easy. It doesn't worry you at all, right? That's why you want to be financially abundant. I think the reason the people use the word free is they want to be free of those feelings, of the stress, of the anxiety, of the uncertainty of making those bill payments. So if you flip it, you can feel the energy shift when you change the words. So drill down, why do you want to redecorate your living room? Well, it's not the couch you want. You want a cozy environment. So when your family's in there, they feel loved and appreciated, and you can be together and enjoy each other's company and watch movies. So it's not the couch you actually want. You want the love and appreciation and joy of being with your family. So also make that one of the goals, because the universe might have a better idea. So whenever we set goals, we say always, and I think a lot of teachers teach this and they use slightly different words, but the concept's the same. You want this or something better for the highest good of all. So if the universe has a better idea than you redoing your living room, right? You just might win the lottery and just buy a whole new house. Forget redoing this living room. Or you could get a job in another state, the dream job that you've always wanted. You move to another state and buy a different house. And now the living room is in the perfect configuration for what you wanted to begin with, and your furniture works just fine. So you just don't know. I'm going to give an example of this that happened to me exactly a year ago. So I thought I'm going to be doing a video on all the trip wins that I have had since I started contesting. But I thought I had won 24 trips. It turns out it's actually more because there was a couple I didn't count. But I thought I had won 24 wins. So at the end of 2024, I was saying I want 25 and 25. I want to win 25 and 25. I want to win number 25 and 25. So I kept saying 25 and 25. And I was doing a live and I even said, hey, everybody, send me your energy to win 25 and 25. Right? Because it doesn't affect them. There's still bazillions of other prizes to be won, many other trips to be won. I'm not taking anything away from anybody. So I said, please send me your winning energy. And I won a weekend away at the end of January. I won a week. I was so excited. I won a weekend away at the Kingston Film Festival. And it was freezing that weekend. Unfortunately, we did not enjoy the city at all. We were bundled up like little Eskimos and we were frozen. We were bundled up so much, like head to toe, and we were still frozen. It was terrible. It was so cold. And one of the things that happened that weekend was we were wandering around town, and then we ducked into a coffee shop to have some hot chocolate in the middle of the afternoon between watching all these films. And we'd been taking pictures. You know, when they have these film festivals, they put up, you know, screens and things so you can go and take your pictures. And so we're in that. Now, I won it on a Monday or a Tuesday. We booked it for the weekend. We did, we had a choice of Friday, Saturday, or Saturday, Sunday. We took Saturday, Sunday because I had appointments on Friday. And because we both work for ourselves, we could come back anytime on Monday. It didn't matter. And it was actually worked out better for the traffic too. So we're sitting in this coffee shop, and I said to him, "Oh my gosh, I actually manifested what I asked for." He said, "What are you talking about?" I said, "This is the 25th annual Kingston Film Festival. And there's a picture of us at one of the displays at one of the theaters, and it says 25-25. I said, I won 25 and 25. It turns out it wasn't my 25th trip, but I won 25 and 25. This is why words matter and why you need to be specific. So, yeah, so somebody said free from debt, working to exist, to pay the lenders, from hopelessness to thriving. Yes, that's why you want financial abundance. Another resource that I'm going to link to, I don't know if she's still having her holiday sale or not, is Amy Jo Ellis. And she does these books regarding the Court of Atonement, which is a modality not a lot of people are familiar with. And I love her books. And she has one specific to money. So I highly recommend, if you're not familiar with her, she has an introductory booklet to the Court of Atonement and the one on money. She only charges $5 for each booklet. You just buy them from her site, you download them. Absolutely worth every penny. I'll also link to her. And she can help you do that. It's phenomenal. And she, in that booklet with money, she goes through all the examples of, actually, I have it behind here. You know what? We're going to go behind the screen. My office is extremely small and very crowded. So I put up a screen, but we'll go behind, see my bookcases right there. And I've been using this book every day. So you just literally, it's a PDF you print off. And I have them in here. You can see I'm working with it. And I just use little things to, so I don't have the introductory book. So she created that after I started working with her stuff. And there's a Facebook group, and she sends out emails. Sign up for her emails. She also includes Court of Atonement things in there. Ooh. I got a little tickle. Hang on, I'm going to mute this. Thank goodness for editing software. I will take that out after. So here's one I'm going to give you about so there's Making Peace with Money. And you have an extensive table of contents, and she goes through all the different words we could have negative attachments to, and concepts we can have attachment to, like jealousy, envy, greed, promises, how we feel about the bank or investors or money itself, or other words like income, paychecks, or paying bills and paying taxes, fees, poverty, right? Shortages. And then how to feel safe being rich. If you're willing to be rich, are you worthy of being rich? And each word has its own connotation. So I highly recommend them. And like I said, they're only $5, and you just print them out, or you don't, If you don't want to, you can put them on your tablet or Kindle, right? Because Kindle, you can download PDFs onto those. And you can do all of that. So I'll give you an example. Let me see if she has one right easy at the front. So it's correcting negative anchors to money. So she goes through that. Oh, I think I read this story in another live. But I'll read this one. It says, years ago, if anybody would have asked me, how is your relationship with money? I would have first laughed and poked fun at how ridiculous that sounded. But eventually I would have answered, what relationship? I don't have any money. About 30 years ago, I became a student of positive thinking. Hang on, I'm just going to... About 30 years ago, I became a student of positive thinking. I learned to do affirmations and intend to put the thoughts out there that I want to see come to fruition. I worked and worked at making statements such as, I am wealthy, and then making lists of the ways I was wealthy. On and on I went. I did see some results, but not enough to brag about them. Again, she didn't change her nervous system or her subconscious thinking, right? You can say, I am wealthy all you want, but if your subconscious is going, no, you're not, it's not going to work. That's why with the expect it, you need to, Helene talks about meditating and getting into the alpha state, which she was doing before she met Jose, but he just reinforced what she was learning. It wasn't until I began to understand emotional anchors and triggers that I started to see some real shifts in my income, right? So she was changing her subconscious thinking. Anchors and triggers are neurological associations to environmental stimuli, which can cause us to have an emotional response. Once I began to understand that objects and items and even words can cause us to change our emotional state, I realized that in order to improve our relationship with money, we would need to change the neurological response that takes place just because we heard the word. Again, reprogramming your subconscious thinking. When I first began to learn about links, I was trying to understand that anything can become associated with a strong emotional state. So if we do or hear something repeatedly while we're in a powerful emotional state, we can become emotionally triggered by it. The universe has a grand way of handing me beautiful examples and events to help me further my understanding. Oh, isn't that wonderful? The universe does it all the time to us. I was talking to a friend and telling her about my anchors and links when she said, oh my gosh, I do understand this. My father died in December. His funeral was on Christmas Eve, and we all stood at his grave holding hands and we sang Silent Night. To this day, if Silent Night comes on the radio, I am gone. I can be in the best mood and suddenly with just the opening notes of the song, I'm a puddle of tears. My whole family hates Christmas now. I told her I'd been working on collapsing anchors and asked if she would be willing to try. I asked her to hop on one foot, pinch her nose, and sing Silent Night at the top of her lungs while sounding like a chipmunk. At first, she thought I was nuts, but she was soon doing her best to sing through gales of laughter. Having her laugh like this while singing Silent Night made a switch in her nervous system response to the song. Again, we're changing our nervous system. You want your nervous system to be able to hold whatever goal you are setting, right? I did a video, my last live, I talked about how I was living in the end result, how I was prepping my nervous system to grow my business by catching up on my filing, right? Working on my accounting. This is the first time since I started my business in 1996 that I don't dread doing expense reports, because now it feels like I'm getting ahead. I'm so excited. I'm going to be handing my accounting to my accountant in February. He's going to fall over. Usually it's in the fall when I give it to him, and I dread every moment of those past expense reports. And now I'm up to September, because now it's the new year. I have to go back and I have to check every file and see if I missed any statements, because it's the end of the year, and some of them I'm just getting them now for December. So I'm going to just make sure I close off every file and get everything in order. And then I'm going to finish the last of the reports to make sure everything's in order. But that's how close I am to being finished. Normally it takes me months and months and months and months and months. And this time I said no more. So I'm prepping myself. So I reprogram myself to say, hey, this is what successful entrepreneurs do. And I don't dread it now. So she's reprogrammed her nervous system to now when she hears Silent Night, it makes a switch. So having her laugh like this when singing Silent Night made a switch in her nervous system response to the song. Her nervous system was now powerfully charged to remember laughter in connection to the song. The song no longer turned on sorrow for her. She would now burst out laughing when she heard the song. Pinching her nose while hopping and singing was the method that I came up with, which is a little more ridiculous than what I had first learned, but it worked beautifully. She even went home and talked her family into hopping on one foot, pinching their noses and singing. The next piece of the puzzle of negative associations happened when I wanted my husband to sit down and make a goal list. What are we doing? When I asked him, he said, can we call it something else? I hate the word goal because can we call it a wish list instead? Later on, he took exception to the word prosperity. He said it just felt terrible to him to even say the word. Once I figured out that he was emotionally triggered by the sounds of these words because of the events that had taken place in high school, I was able to collapse those anchors and he no longer felt upset by the words. I realized that we can now use the cord of atonement to create the switches in our nervous systems. So I've set about putting together a cord of atonement calls, she calls them calls, to discharge unhealed energy around the words associated with money. And then she goes on. So that's why I love the, yes, Dunno says here, it is NLP, neuro-linguistic programming. They're all tied together. Like I said, there's nothing new under the sun. It's just that sometimes when you learn it one way, it doesn't click until you hear the same thing told in a slightly different manner. How many times has that happened to you? And the teachers that I started reading when I was 18, like the books that I was really gravitated to at certain points in my life, don't resonate with me now. Only a few do that I've carried for years. The three that changed my life completely that I still resonate with, obviously, the Name It and Claim It game. And in more ways than just the story she told. I mean, I had different epiphanies, like, you know, when I finally was ready to take on the task of doing what she asked, because I had to get myself to a place where I was emotionally ready to carry the weight of that responsibility, and then getting it out there, and then doing the audiobook and learning a whole new skill set, and also getting deeper into her work. It is much different when you read it out loud than when you read it with your eyes. So what I do with Amy's work, with Amy Jo's work, is I read all of her programming out loud, like the exercises. And I do one a day. That's why there's a bookmark. So I'll pull the bookmark out and I'll do, and it's a whole page. And I say it out loud because I find it's much more powerful for me. Another exercise you could do that also gets it into your nervous system is to write it out. So you could rewrite out manually her whole page in a journal and read it, because you're also then saying it in your mind as you write it. So, but you're doing something physical, saying it and hearing it, or reading it and writing it. That's, you're working on your programming. And we have another one. Oh, funny how your mom can share timeless wisdom that is accepted when told to us by a stranger. Exactly. It's same thing. It's sometimes it's the source, sometimes it's how it's said. Sometimes it's a slightly different take. Sometimes it's the environment. Sometimes you're now ready to hear it. So maybe your mom told it to you again at a different point in your life, and then it clicked. So that's why I want you to remember you have a whole year for these goals. Amy Jo's husband didn't like. So I want you to really be specific on what you're doing. And let me see. Oh, yeah, someone said my cough wasn't muted. I'll edit that out. That's so funny. So the other two books were Transforming Fate into Destiny by Robert Ohotto. And because some things we can't change. This is our soul contract, and this is what we're here to do. Like, I can't decide that I wish I wasn't born in 1967 on a different, in a different year, in a different, like, I could change my hair, I could make it brown, but I'm not going to be 6 feet tall. I'm not, I could change my nose a little bit. Like, you can change things a little bit if you don't like them. Like, say I didn't like my chin. I'm fine with my face, by the way. But, if I didn't like something, I could change it a little bit. You can always get the little facelift and feel a little better. You can color your hair. You can get your nails done. But my arms aren't going to grow longer. If I wanted to be stronger, I could hire a personal trainer and work out more at the gym. Right? You can change like that. But my feet aren't going to go from a 7.5 to a 9. Like, there's some things that are fated, and then there's destiny. I can choose what I do every day. Like, this is a choice. Doing this and teaching you is actually a choice I make. And you chose to spend your valuable time, because that's your number one resource, is your time and your attention. And you're choosing to spend it with me to learn so that your life is improved. That's extremely valuable to me. Like, I am so grateful that you're choosing to spend that time with me. And I hope you feel that even through the screen. Okay. And I know Helene is grateful. People are still loving her work. She was very funny. I'm so glad I still talk to her family. So project it. Now, this took me a while to figure out. I just knocked over. I have Amy's book here, and I just banged something. Oh, this is interesting. Jeannie says, I used to have angry eyebrows, and somehow they disappeared and turned into curly ones. You shifted your energy, and it's literally showing on your face. That's amazing. Okay, before we go any further, I love this copper cup. Copper's supposed to be really good to drink out of. And I was looking for one, and then we went on vacation, and there was a vendor selling copper. And it's nice because it's pure copper. It's not lined. Oh no. My feet have gone from a 9 to a 10.5 and flattened out because of how heavy I've gotten. Yeah. I remember actually when I was pregnant, that happened to me. I had to buy new shoes because I was just so big. But life can change. You can change that. That could be actually one of your goals, to get back to the way I was. And in a healthier, stronger body. So now we want to project it. So what I figured out what she meant by that, because Helene in the book, if you read her works, she uses the word visualize, I think, too much when she means you need to feel. So project it is visualizing. And you can learn this from the Silva method. There's a couple of exercises in the Silva method. One is called Mirror of the Mind, and the other one is called holographic viewing. So those are the two you would learn if you took the course. I'll also put the links below. Stephen Dobos in Canada teaches it here, and he gives free introductory classes every week or every couple of weeks on a Monday. And you can go and take that class. Sometimes I actually run them for him. If he's not available to do it. And when he does his in person, I assist. So I'm actually going, I think it's next month, end of February. So I'm doing that. And they cover that. And then also Ken Kasha does it in the United States. He was the youngest certified Silva instructor, taught by Jose himself. He's been doing it for 50 years. And he knew Helene Hadsall, and he actually knew Tag Powell, the gentleman that wrote. Tag was Helene's second publisher, and because she met him through Jose, of course. And Tag was also a Silva instructor. You'll find that a lot of the great teachers that we love all took the Silva method. I must make a list of all these teachers and do a video on it, because you can see glints of Jose in everybody's work, which makes me feel like he's the great granddaddy of them all. It really is. You can really see him in all the other works. Okay, so Project It is up here. A lot of times they say, look out your third eye. Now, if you have aphasia, don't, because there's 5 levels of aphasia, don't worry about it. There's lots of ways that you can visualize. You can write things out. You can cut pictures out. You can make Canva bulletin boards. You can find images to put them on the screens of your phone. There's lots of ways to visualize if you can't see in your mind's eye, because the more important part is the expected. Okay. So projecting it means you're just putting it out to the universe. So you can do that by journaling. You can do the mirror of the mind exercise, anything where you're picturing it. Okay, now I'm going to try this again. Let me see if I can mute it this time. I tried muting the mic in the program. I think that worked this time. Okay, we'll edit that out too. Welcome to a live stream. It is literally live. So what the projection is you want to put energy to your goal and send that out into the field. So Lynn McTaggart wrote a book called Living in the Field. She also wrote a book, I believe it's called Living with Intention. They're great books to also read. And the idea is, like I said, I wanted to win 25 and 25, and I got number 25 and 25 won. I didn't even realize it until I'd had it a week. And it wasn't what I was thinking it would be. So that's another reason why you want to be super specific. I was very general. 25 and 25 could be anything. I did say trip. And to me, if I'm not sleeping at home, it's considered a trip. So I won a 1-day night out at the city next to us and in a local contest. And so I said, ooh, do I count that as a trip? Because I've always said if I'm not sleeping at home, it's a trip. But it's like 30 minutes from my house. Does that actually count as a trip? And all my Sweepy friends said, that's a trip. So then I had to go back and add in the other 2 one-night hotels that I recall winning and add them in. If there was any extras in there, I don't remember. So I didn't win trip number 25 because technically I'm up to 27. So that would have been trip number 26 if I started counting them that way. Once I used the Silva method, alpha frequency, and dreamt 4 numbers. I played them a few days later, and the numbers came out exactly what I dreamt. The win was only $125, but it was something. Oh, that's amazing. Helene's second article talks about how numbers have energy. Go to wordsforwinning.com and search lottery and using the little magnifying glass. And the second, part 2, is an article that she wrote that I found in her files that she had never published. And it was about how she was teaching a class and someone played all the numbers that they talked about in the class and won $25,000. What? So yeah, they have energy, and that's why. I'm wondering if you'd played them longer, like, you know how they say play the same numbers, those are your numbers, and you just auto play them, because a lot of the lotteries now have websites and you can subscribe, and instead of they've done it so you don't have to remember to run and always buy your tickets. You can just play them and they just auto play for you, and then if you win something, they send it to you. Oh, thank you for reminding me how magical the world is. It is totally magical and crazy and fun. And that's why she called it the name it and claim it game. We have to remember it's a game. We're supposed to play. If something doesn't work out, guess what? That's okay. Try something else. Right? You know, if you took up a hobby and you said, oh, I want to learn knitting. It looks so fun. And then you discover you're all thumbs and this is terrible and you don't like it and you keep poking yourself and the yarn keeps getting knotted and you get frustrated and you're like, okay, this is not for me. Maybe you're just not dexterous enough for it. That's okay. Guess what? You can pass it on to someone who would like it and you can pick up a different hobby. Maybe you're better at painting. Like, it doesn't matter. You tried it, discovered it wasn't for you. You want to try new food? That looks interesting. I'll try that. Take 3 bites. No. Yeah, not for me. Or, oh my gosh, this is the newest thing I love. You don't know until you try it. So just try stuff. It's fun. So projecting it is putting it out to the universe. And most of the time, like you said, you want to do it in alpha. So Neville Goddard teaches the state akin to sleeping, which is the hypnagogic state. So just as you're falling asleep and just as you're waking up. Whenever I wake up, I say, I love this saying from the Bible. This is the day the Lord hath made. Let us rejoice and be glad in it. That's what I say. I'm just glad that I woke up. That's the first thing that I always say right when I have conscious awareness. Okay, I'm getting up. And that's the first thing I project out of my brain. That I'm still here. I woke up. I'm breathing. This is the day that I was gifted, and I'm going to be glad in it. And it might end up being a terrible day sometimes, but it's still always a good day because I'm here and I'm breathing and I can do something else and I can always make another choice. Like I was supposed to do this live stream last week and family obligations got in the way. And I started to realize the day was going to take this turn left. And I thought, I'm not even going to stress it. You know what we're going to do? I'm just going to send out an email saying new time, new day. I'm just going to move it. I'm going to change it on the socials. End the problem. It's fixed. Because guess what? It doesn't matter if it was last week or this week, because clearly it was meant to be today. And it was easier to do it. So I used to, this would have been, if this was like 10 years ago, I'd be freaking out. Oh my God, I'm supposed to be doing this and things are happening now. I'm like, just go with the flow. I did a video where I talk about how going through life is like learning how to kayak, right? We're never going to avoid the rapids, but we can learn how to navigate them with grace and ease and strength. So you want to project it in however you want. You want to visualize if you can. If not, journal, make vision boards, put pictures on your computer screen, however you want to do it. Helene liked to do word lists and paste them around the house and in her car. So she saw the word association, a little bit like anchoring to words like Amy Jo teaches us. Now expect it. This is the one that trips the most people up. Because as I always call myself sometimes a puny human. Sometimes I say to the universe, look, I'm just a puny human. You're going to have to explain it to me better than that. Right? We got to have fun with it. I'm a puny human. I'm having trouble. Help. Or explain it to me because I don't get it. I've got this human brain that I'm working with. And I'm looking in the 3D and it's not here yet. And this is going wrong. And what are you doing? And why is that happening? And I want to go here and you're sending me there and I don't like this. Right? Oh yeah, really glad you did it this week. Thanks. And yeah, I love Helene. I love her too. I found a video of hers this week. So working on a video to do for my Contest Queen live, for my Contest Queen channel. I'm going through all the pictures of all the prizes I won and trips. So I'm making 2 different things. One, every picture I could find of prizes, because I think I've never showcased them. And the other is to show trips that I've won. And I found, so Helene, when I went to visit her, we go into Rosa's Cafe for lunch. And of course we walk in and the first thing we see, there's a sign. They're hosting a contest to win a trip. You can win luggage and you can win something else. I can't remember what third prize was. But you had to film a video and submit it by, I think, email. Well, Helene had zero tech skills. And I think I just had a BlackBerry at the time. Like really rudimentary skills. Like I had a camera, but I wasn't shooting video on it. Unfortunately, I didn't know how. I don't even know if I had a memory card big enough. So I shot the video on my phone and I entered it for her and she won second place. Of course she won. So I'm going through the files and I see 2 videos. They have 2 different track numbers. I'm like, what's that? I click on it. It was her first attempt and she didn't like how she sounded. So we shot it again. I didn't even remember that. So I uploaded it to YouTube. So if you go to my Words for Winning channel on YouTube, you can see it there. And I link to her first video. I think I have to go to the first video and sync to the second one. So you can see them both. And you can see how her attempt got better on the one I submitted. Of course she won. But I found that this week of Helene. So I'm always finding new stuff from her. So she's out there making sure nobody forgets her and her sense of humor and how fun she was. I wish I'd spent more time with her. I also am a little frustrated because as we age and we learn and we grow and we mature, the questions I would ask her now are not the questions I asked her then. Oh, and I know I can do it when I meditate, but it's not the same. So let's go back to expect it because I'm like a little train that goes off track and I have to come back. To expect it, you actually have to believe it'll show up. Now, some things I'm really good at doing that with, like especially when I sweepstakes. I know I'm going to win. I just don't know which one. Now, Helene says I scatter my energy, but I personally think the hobby's more fun when I enter this way. I don't want to enter for one thing and get it. I like the idea of dreaming of all these potentialities and just see which one shows up. And to me, that's so much more fun. Like, oh my gosh, look at this. Oh my gosh, look at that. I just love that. And the joy of that. And to me, that's part of the hobby. And so I continue to do that, even though she says you're scattering your energy. And she's not wrong. But you also have to make the hobby your own. And the hobby has changed dramatically since she was entering in the 50s and 60s, might I add. They had entry blanks. They had the store. They had mail-ins. They had in-person where you go and find a box and you fill out a form and you drop it in the box. That stuff doesn't exist now. It's all online. Those stores are now doing them on Instagram. There's text to win. There's, TikTok, film a video, submit it. Like it's so different. It's not the same. So I do that with sweepstakes prizes when I'm entering. I always say, I wonder which one of these I'm going to win. And I do very well. Like last year, I won 100 prizes and the total was, I think, $8,660.40. So that was a good year. That was a lot of fun, including technically 2 trips, one to Kingston and one to Markham, which is 30 minutes from my house, but it's not the point. It's a lot of fun. So I'm very good at expecting that. But other things like how to grow my business and how to get to the next level, I'm very shaky. That's why I'm working on catching up on my accounting, like looking at it and saying, okay, if my business was 10 times the size, how would I behave? Right now, my desk is a little messy. Like I bumped the book and I knocked something over. Up until like 2 days ago, this desk was clear. So now I've got to get back. We've had the weekend and lots going on. So it got a little messy, but I've stayed on top of it. So that's okay. Things happen. Things get moved around and we'll put them back. But I've stayed on top of keeping my desk clear. I caught up on my accounting. I caught up on my filing. I had filing sitting there for over a year. And I finally sat down one day and said, that's enough. And I filed it all. And then I went through the whole filing cabinet and got rid of very old files and did a lot of shredding. And it felt so good to get rid of all that old energy. Right? So I've been doing this. Oh, I once won tickets to a Fame concert. I was so stoked. I was singing the theme tune when they called me. Oh, wow. That's amazing. I love it. Yeah, you were totally expecting it. So, that's why the mirror of the mind or the holographic viewing and imagining your goal as realized as you're falling asleep and just as you wake up, you're programming your subconscious mind to work on that goal and bring resources to you or give you ideas or send synchronicities. Because there's many forms of abundance. One of the resources I like is Bashar, and he talks about abundance as money, synchronicities, imagination. There's 5. Money, obviously, imagination, synchronicities, trade, and gifts. So someone could gift something to you. You could trade something for it. You get an idea. Someone could call you out of the blue. Like you could think, I haven't talked to my buddy for a while. And boom, they phone you. That happens because you've put yourself into that framework of what's going to happen. I did that one day. I was going to pick up my new prescription. And I got to the parking lot and I thought, you know what? I want something really magical to happen today. Like something unexpected. And then when it happens, I'll know it. And like 2 minutes later, I'm walking. So the parking, it's downtown Toronto. So it's a little tough and it's on this one road. And so then all the back streets are residential and the parking lot is actually in a residential neighborhood. So I'm walking to the store through this residential neighborhood and with, all these old small homes, they're all like townhomes, like little brownstone kind of townhome things. And I'm walking through this neighborhood and some guy was watering his plants out front. And I said, good morning. And I walked in and goes, hi. And he looks at me and he goes, are you on TikTok? Yes. And then we had this conversation and I took his picture. And off I went and I posted it. And his wife left a comment on the video and she goes, I was wondering who he was talking to. Apparently they both followed me. And I'm like, yeah, I asked for something weird and magical to happen. I got it. It's so funny. That's not what I was expecting. I was hoping to find like money on the ground, But no, I got recognized in a weird way in the middle of nowhere. But I was expecting something magical to happen to me. And I just didn't realize it would happen in 10 minutes. That's the other thing. Sometimes stuff happens right away. Like I was in the grocery store one day. And of course you think I never get a basket. And I didn't bring in a grocery bag because I was going in for one thing. And then I picked up 10 and then I'm holding them. And I've thought, if I'd grabbed one of those bags from the produce section, I could have used it to hold a bunch of the produce I bought. And I look over and someone left one at the cash. And I went, oh, thanks. I manifested it like instantly. But some stuff takes other days and some stuff took 10 years. Like George took me a decade. And I had on my vision board 2 Adirondack chairs. So I was expecting this, but I didn't know how long it was going to take. And I didn't understand at that time that I needed to change who I was. Because Wayne Dyer always said, he started it. I've heard other teachers talk about it. You attract who you are, not what you want. And so it took me a decade to get to the person that would have the type of relationship I have with George. But I didn't know it was going to take me that long. And then actually even At one point when I was going through, a dark night, I knew up here what I needed to do, but it was like slogging through mud. It took me so long to change my nervous system. And I'm like, why is this, like, I get it up here. Why isn't this catching up? And I even told people I can feel it. It's like slogging through mud to shift this. It was like I was rewiring myself wire by wire by wire, not like rip it all out and put it in a new cable. It was like such a slow process. So I had vision boards, and I would put we call them here in Canada where I live, Muskoka chairs, but you guys in the States call them Adirondack chairs, on a dock. And to me, that was like the ultimate couple thing. Sit there with a book and a glass of wine and talk about your day and watch the sunset on the lake and hopefully not get eaten alive by mosquitoes. And basically the universe said to me, do you really want that? Because I kept putting that kind of thing on my vision board. And I was married at the time. And the universe kept saying, are you sure you want that? I'm like, I want that. And they go, okay, this guy, not for you. If you want that, this isn't going to, he can't give you that. That's not how he's wired. So you got to get a divorce. And to get a divorce, you have to go through all these steps. And then I was a hot mess. So I stayed single for years because I thought, I wouldn't want to date me. So I'm just going to stay single while I figure this out. And then when I started dating again, I dated somebody similar to my ex because the universe was going, are you sure you're done with this archetype? And I went, yes, I am. Thank you very much. And then I was on one dating site. George was on another, but he decided to check this one out. And I saw his profile. And one of the things that he had on there was his favorite day with Sundays at the lake, with his girl sitting on the dock, having his morning Sunday coffee, talking about the weekend. I went, that guy right there, that's the guy. So we met for coffee because I can tell somebody's energy right away, and I don't want to be invested in dinner if they're terrible. I got roped into that one too many times. Coffee's better because then you can duck out if you don't like them. Or they might be nice people and they're just not for you. You can tell right away that too. I met some very nice people that way, and I could just tell right away energy wise that, they're not for me. But nice people, so I'm sure they found their person, and they just weren't for me. And George and I hit it off right away. And then the other thing I want you to learn is to listen to that little voice while you're expecting. If you get a glimmer of something, head in that direction. I had my car broke. The window in my car broke while I was out. And George had been texting me. I said, you're not going to believe this. My window just broke. Like the gear inside the window stripped, and then the window shattered. I was like, are you kidding me? So now I got a car repair. And he texted me back. He said, you need me to come pick you up. And my little voice said, this man has your back. And I went, that guy. Yep. And he does. If I need anything, I know I can count on him. Because I was expecting the person for those chairs. But it took a heck of a long time to get there. And I had to rewire a lot of this. Robert Ohado always calls that hugging your inner dragons. You don't want to go in and slay your dragons. You want to go in and hug them. They just need some love. How did you feel when you saw him? What did the clarity of knowing like? I didn't know right away. So we met for coffee. So we were chatting online, like texting. So first we talked online, and then we went to texting. And our conversations were good. I'm like, okay, so now this is good. I don't waste time. Like, I'm over 50. I don't have time to waste. I'm not chatting with you for 3 months. We're going to meet and have coffee. And if we click, we click. If we don't, we don't. Well, we went for coffee. So I had my daughter at that point every other week. So when she was at her dad's, we met. We didn't meet. He was working or something. And so we didn't meet till 9:00 at night. And we sat down, started having a coffee. And the next thing we know, it's 11 o'clock. We're like, where did 2 hours go? Like, the time just disappeared. So that was a good sign. And then he was walking me back to my car, and I had my phone out to make sure I had his name. And he said, "Oh, you should change that to George the Cute One." So I did. It's still like that in my phone. But I didn't know he was the one at that moment. That was on the Monday. The Tuesday, I was out and about, and that's when my window broke, and he's offered to come get me. And that's when I had the little voice. I was like, oh. So I got, and I said, no, I don't need you to come get me. Can I call you when I get home? And he said, sure. So I called him when I got home, and I was kind of complaining a little bit because I usually can park in my garage. But I had to tape the window up because I had just finished painting my office. So I still had a bunch of stuff down there. Then I'd had a leak in the basement. I was drying a bunch of stuff in the garage. And I'm like, are you kidding me? The one time my garage has a bunch of stuff in it and I can't park in it, I need to park in it because they were calling for rain. I thought, are you kidding me? So I tape up the window, and I had all the stuff in my garage, and I needed to get it away. Like, I needed to work on cleaning it up because I figured I had a few weeks. So I was just going to take my time and do a little bit every day. And he said, well, do you want me to come over and help you? And my first thought was, no. And then I thought, no, I'm going to ask for some help. I'm going to accept the help because some of the stuff in there is heavy. So it'd be good to have a second set of hands, especially man hands, because I mean, I had some really huge, awkward boxes that I had struggled to get up there. Then I had a glass cabinet that I had just bought that needed to go up into my new office because I just painted it. I thought, you know what? I'm going to take his help. So that way things don't break. I don't injure myself. It's a good idea to have a second set of hands for this. And so when he came the next day to help me, he said, come on, get in the truck. We're going for lunch first. And I'm like, okay, I like this guy. And then he actually helped me. He's very organized. He's, when he gets on a project, it gets done. And we got that garage, like all the heavy stuff, and we got all the big things away, all the stuff I couldn't take by myself. Quick. It's so much better. What is it? Many hands make light work, right? That's the expression. So that's when I kind of knew. I thought, I might fall in love with this guy. And then he always teases me because he's like, oh, you went down the rabbit hole. I'm like, I'm still down the rabbit hole. And I'm like, you like to tease me, but you're down here with me. He's like, oh. Love George. But the expecting part is where people struggle, and that takes a lot of trust. So actually, that's one of the things that I'm putting on my vision board this year, is that I want to ingrain a sense of trust. So I do have goals, like business goals and things. But I say, well, I would like to reach this goal. Why do I want to reach this goal? Well, because then I would feel safe and secure. Okay, so you really don't want the goal. You want to feel safe and secure. Well, how am I going to get there? I don't know. Well, I want to trust the process. So one of my goals is trusting that I will achieve what my soul came down here to achieve. Right? Now, I'll give you a story. So I had a reading. He doesn't do readings anymore. But after I had read Transforming Fate into Destiny, after my divorce and everything, and I moved out, I decided that I was going to treat myself to a reading with Robert Ohotto, because I figured the information I was going to get from him was going to be a year's worth of therapy, because his sessions were fairly expensive, or at least I thought so. But I thought it's going to be worth it, the information I'm going to get from him. So he told me back then, one, Contest Queen wasn't the only thing on the mountain. She's just a stepping stone. So then I immediately went out. Now, this is where the universe has a sense of humor. I immediately went out. Oh, and how he does his readings is he bases it. He looks at your birth chart. He takes your birth chart because that's your soul contract. And if you look at the astrology of your life and what's happening and what's going on with what you're doing, it'll match exactly. It's kind of crazy how the divine timing is kind of nuts that way. He always says astrology is what you live. Because he says, well, I don't believe in astrology either, but I believe in cycles. I believe in synchronicities. So, yeah, I wonder what the astrology was when I met him. Anyway. Oh my gosh, I just lost my train of thought. So, what was I talking about? I have so much in my brain that I like to teach. Oh yeah. So during this reading, he said, Contest Queen wasn't it. She's not the mountain. She's just one step on this mountain. And sometimes I'm a triple Capricorn, like my sun, my moon, and my Mercury, all in Capricorn. Right now with the Kazini right on top of me. How interesting is that? So I'm just paying attention to this these days. And he said, she's just one step on the mountain. So I immediately went out and made another business because somebody had told me, like, a Contest Queen, I was doing my marketing under it, and people were getting what I did with Contest Queen, teaching people how to win, confused with my sweepstakes marketing side of my business. And so I decided to split the business in two. So Contest Queen just became teaching people how to win. And I launched Idea Majesty, which is my sweepstakes marketing company. And I also do other digital types of marketing there, basically. But 95% is sweepstakes marketing. And so I launched that, and I went and got a name. I got the URL. I got all the socials. I got the logo. I built a simple website. And I thought, okay, this is the next step the universe has for me. I'll just wait. The first person I worked with in my company was Robert Ohado. He hired me to consult on some of his marketing because I used to send him advice all the time, and he liked it. So he ended up hiring me. And then I told him one day that I was doing that. And I said, well, I started this company because you told me to in the reading. So the irony is he was the first customer in the business that he told me that I should be creating to my growth. And then when I was standing in the office, because now you do it online, but at that time I had to go down to the office, the government office, and fill out a form and pay my money to get the business license. I was standing there and I knew there was a third business. And I was like, oh, I don't like that. And then after I bought Helene's books, I stocked 3 of her books on my marketing website because I didn't have any place to put them. And I kind of knew I needed an author site. And I even had a marketing colleague say to me, that doesn't really belong there. And I go, I know. But I was loath to start a third business. And then I bought the rights to Tags books. And I thought, okay, I can't put it off anymore. So I finally started Words for Winning. And I moved all the books there. I mean, I have my contest books on Contest Queen and stuff, but all of the books and resources live on Words for Winning. Of course, if you want to learn how to win sweepstakes, it's on Contest Queen. I'm not putting that over there. I'm not blogging about that. Any articles I have that are metaphysical ideas, things I find of Helene's, it all goes onto Words for Winning. And the books are there, and the links to the PDFs and all the downloads and things like that are there. Now, one of the things Robert told me in the reading is he says, here's what I see you doing. He says, I see you. He says, the Shift Network, which is still around, by the way. I said, yeah. He goes, I see you doing something like that. Not like that, but it's the only way I know how to explain it, he says to me. I see you working with all these teachers. And the Contest Queen isn't going away because, you could be holding weekend workshops and all these teachers come and everybody's learning and they're growing. And then you go, oh, and by the way, I'm also the Contest Queen. So we have prizes from all these people. Okay. He goes, it's not going to be that though, but I'm not sure what, but something like that. I was like, all right. So I finally start this third business. And my webmaster, I love Mark. I just give him free reign. I'm like, hey, I need a website that has this on it. Go. I give him no direction. He just intuits the whole thing. So he goes, okay, he's got the first draft of the website ready for me to see. And it had my Like it had the authors on the homepage, me and then Helene and then Tag and then Judith. So it's the rights. I own all the rights to these authors. And I opened the page and I went, OMG. This is what Robert said. 10 years prior. I'm working with all these teachers, but I'm doing it in book form. What? So that's my destiny. That's like what I agreed. My soul agreed to do this when I came down here. And everything I've done has kind of led up to this point. And I know there will be another bunch of authors and books I'll be buying after I finish what I've already got on my plate. So we have to trust the process, even though my little Capricorn brain doesn't like to trust it because she likes to be in control of everything. So that's one of my goals this year. Is it's not a thing. It's an embodiment is what I want to manifest. I want to manifest trust in the process. And I'm getting better every day. That's what you learn in the Silva method. It was Emile Coulier. I believe I'm pronouncing that correctly. Every day in every way, I'm getting better and better and better. That's how you know you meet somebody that took the Silva method, because you say to them, how are you? They go, better and better. They know that. So work on your expecting in the hypnagogic state. Neville Goddard writes about this. Mitch McConnell, no, not Mitch McConnell. Where did that name come from? Mitch Horowitz wrote books on Neville Goddard. Fascinating. Highly recommend his books. He did some great interviews. You can look him up on YouTube. I'll link him too. Mitch Horowitz. And he talks about the beauty of programming your goals in when you're doing, I think they're called SATs, a state akin to sleep, right? SATS. And then you're living in the wish fulfilled. Because if you read Neville's books, he talked about how he would envision with emotion, like being in Barbados, like his big thing was being in Barbados. And he would just imagine that he was there. And it would feel, because your brain doesn't understand the difference between your imagination and reality. Right? Jack Canfield did this at a seminar I was at. It was fascinating. We all had to stand up in our chairs and we had to close our eyes. And then we had to imagine that we were on a plank. It was secure at the back end, so don't worry, it's not going to tip over. But we had to walk out to the edge of it and look down the Grand Canyon. And you could hear people breathing erratically, gasping because they were scared. You're in a ballroom at a hotel, standing on a carpeted floor, but your imagination has your heart pounding because you think you're over the Grand Canyon. Hello, you can program your mind. Says, I want to start 2 businesses. Do to create LLCs or corporations for each business. So what I did was we originally started, when I was married, we started with a state, like we live in Canada, so it was a provincial, but equivalent to a state LLC. And then when we got a divorce, I got a federal LLC. So I have a numbered company. And then each business, I have 3, what they call master business licenses that are owned by the LLC. So the LLC owns each master business license. So here where I live, you can just start something called a sole proprietorship and just get a master business license. However, depending on what you do, that means like you're legally not protected, like it's not separate from you. It's worth paying for the LLC to do the licenses. So I have an umbrella company, the numbered company, and then it has all 3 licenses. So when I file my taxes, I only file 1 tax. But the bank, and if it's in its infinite wisdom, used to allow me to have the LLC and all the master business licenses together. So I had 1 bank account, but now they said, no, that's too confusing. We're not making enough money. each business license has to have its own bank account. So I have 3 business bank accounts because the bank didn't want to put them all under one, even though they're owned by one company. So that's fun. Some more work for my accountant and me. But it is what it is, right? So I have 3, but I recommend looking into an LLC. The other reason it's good to do an LLC rather than just a business license is it's a business and it has its own energy and it takes on its own life. And I don't know if you understand that, because a lot of people, they work from home and they think, oh, that's cute. You work from home. You have a little hobby. No, I'm running a business. The government believes I'm running a business. I have to file taxes. I have to submit. I just did it. Every year I have to do this filing with Corporations Canada. And then I have to print it all out and I have to submit all these things and I pay a fee to renew my incorporation standing, and I have to file it. So it's a separate entity from me. And it gives it, to me, it gives it a life of its own. And I think it also is good for people when they have the LLC to start treating their business like a business. Right? A lot of people who ask that question have a spiritually based business. Like they might mean, say you're a medium or a tarot card reader, or you make crystal bracelets. And you think, oh, this is just a little thing I'm doing. But if you incorporate it and you get a license and you have a business bank account, and the only thing I print are business cards because they're great to hand out. I have a QR code on one side. And I have a website, and I go and here's a trick though, before you get the LLC, go and find a URL that's available, because if there's a URL available, I can tell you nobody has registered the company name, because otherwise the URL would be gone. So that's why it's Words for Winning, because I wanted winning words, but that was taken. And I teach people how to win in life and sweepstakes, and I use it with books, which are words. So I came up with that. I tried to come up with the third regal one, but I had a lot of trouble with that. So Contest Queen and Idea Majesty, but I couldn't come up with a third regal one that was tied to books. I didn't want to be like the book Baroness. That's just not the same. But it gives it its own life, and it gives you some seriousness. And it gives you more of like a command. Oh yeah, I started my own business. Oh, here's my card for whatever you're doing. Yes, you can, and you can even do, like, it does not have to be expensive. You can go to buy your own domain, like go to GoDaddy, or I use Network Solutions. I find them to be cheaper, but that's just me. I do have one domain holdover on GoDaddy. But buy your own domain, keep it separate. You can use Wix for a website. You can buy their hosting service. I'm a little more sophisticated, so I use Green Geeks and have a webmaster that does all WordPress sites. And I was very proud of myself because in the end of last year, I remapped, because we're redoing Contest Queen. It's the 20th anniversary. She's getting a makeover. She's going to have a new logo. It's been 20 years getting a new logo. She's getting a new color scheme. I put in a lot of placeholder graphics, so she's a little jinky, but that's okay. The mapping is done. There's still, every once in a while, we're finding a 404. That's okay. We're going to slowly fix those. But it's all part of the process. And, but you can even do like a one-page website on Wix, whatever it is. And if you tell yourself, like if you want to say become an author, right? I know everybody has a book in them. You start telling people, I'm an author, and get up and write every day. You know, a lot of people want the end result without any of the work in between. They like the idea of having a book. They don't want to do the work for a book. You can't decide you're going to run a marathon and then get up the day of the marathon and run it. You have to train, right? Right? You got to get up and write. And the lesson for me, when I started writing my first writing, I read The 1 Minute Millionaire. Mark Victor Hansen lied. I'm just going to tell you right now. I read The 1 Minute Millionaire. He said, write a book in 30 days, make $1 million. Okay, so first of all, I'm waiting for my $1 million. The book took me 20 months. It was so hard. I finished it in 10, and I thought I was done. Oh, no, nobody told me that editing took as long as the writing part. And then at that time, we were using a company called BookSurge. This is before Amazon. Like, this is like 3 iterations prior to Amazon. So it was like BookSurge and then CreateSpace, and then there was something else in there. And then it went to KDP. Like, this was like 20 years ago. And part of it was they did the layout. They laid it out like my nonfiction book. They laid it out like a romance novel. It was awful. I cried so hard when I got my author copy. It was terrible. So I had to learn how to lay out a book. And that took 2 weeks every day for like 6-7 hours a day. I thought I was going to go squirrely from looking at the computer, fixing this book. And it's still a bit terrible. It's my first one. You can't win if you don't enter. 20th anniversary. And now I'm finishing prizes everywhere. It's going to be out before the 20th anniversary. Thank you. Because that's the other thing. I had this albatross. I started working on it and then I dropped the ball. And then I started working on it again. I dropped the ball. And I thought, no, this book is getting done. It's my number one priority. I met with my assistant and I said, I know we have all these other projects, but they're taking the back. Your job is to edit first, because she was actually my editor before I hired her for other stuff, because she's so good at everything. And marketing and social, and she's wonderful. She's really good at systems, which I lack, which is why you hire somebody that's got your strengths where you're weak. And I said to her, this is the priority. So she's going to be, I just sent her 2 more chapters to edit, and then they come back and we're working on the book in chunks like that. So, yeah, it's a lot of work, but it'll get done. So you have to do the in-between stuff. It just doesn't show up. Like, this book didn't write itself. Helene did it herself. And even me taking it from her format into the modern format took months. Like, you think, well, how hard can that be? Oh, it's harder than you think. And then even when I did the Audible book, we had to fix some stuff. Some sentences she wrote read fine, but when I read them out loud, they sounded terrible. I had to change them so that her book would sound good when you read it and when you heard it, which is weird. Like, that you think, oh, well, how does it not sound right when you read it? I don't know. I just had to fix things. So it's a process. So if you're expecting it, part of the expecting process is to take those steps. So if you expect that you're going to run a marathon, say your goal is to run a marathon in 2026, you're signing up for the one in November somewhere warm. I don't know. Okay, you got 11 months to train. So what do you need to do? How many miles do you have to run? Like, you work it backwards, right? So if I'm running 26 by here I need to be able to do 25. Here I have to be able to do 24. Here I have to be able to do 23, and backwards and backwards. Okay, so tomorrow when I wake up, how far do I have to run so that I incrementally increase it? So by the marathon, I can run the marathon. And how often do I have to train each week? And do I need to change my diet? And do I have to get special shoes? Like, you have to do all the steps. But you expect that by November 15th, you're running that marathon. But you're not going to just wake up on November 15th and go run the marathon, right? In your jeans and your slippers, you're going to have all this stuff in the training, right? So part of expected is to do the work. You know, they talk that in the Secret. You don't just sit in your living room and say, I want a Ferrari, and it's going to show up. You got to take some action. And the last thing is collect it. right? If it doesn't show up the way you expect it, don't reject it. There, I just added one. Aline would like that because it rhymed. Don't reject it. Don't reject it. Right? You don't, like I said, it took me a week to realize that I got what I asked for. So don't assume that what you're getting isn't what you asked for, because it might turn out better than what you originally thought. It's a bit like a treasure hunt, right? You don't know what you're going to get. So you just go on the adventure and see what shows up. Right? So be open to collecting it. Now, I want you to think about this while you're sitting in this process, because this took way longer than I thought. I apologize. How do you take a compliment? If I said to you, wow, you look beautiful today. You go, oh, no, I don't. I'm so tired. You can't even accept a compliment. How are you going to accept what the universe sends you? So just think about what you reject every day as you go through your day. Become the observer and stay in your usual patterns so you can start to spot them. Now, I forgot to go over to Instagram to look for some questions. I just did that. So someone asked about George and what did he think about my sweepstakes entries? That's the other kind of hint I had that he was for me. Was that, so in the projected phase, for when I was looking for someone, the person I was married to, him and I had very different values, and I didn't realize it. Like, we liked a lot of the same things. We were very similar in a lot of things, which made us very compatible in a lot of ways. Yet when it came to core values, we were very different, but I didn't realize that, or I didn't realize what a deal breaker that was at the time. I was also in my 20s. What do we know when we're 20? So this time I literally said to the universe, I want the male version of me. Like, thankfully he's not exactly that, but when it comes to the, like, in our interests, now we're kind of the opposite. A lot of the interests we have are different. Like, he loves the outdoors. He likes to fish. He'll say to me, he's got a trailer up north. He'll go, I call it George's stomping grounds. I said, go up, stomp, be a bear. I'll sit here, I'll write, I'll do live streams, I'll enter sweepstakes. I'm happy, he's happy. I went to the annual National Sweepstakes Convention this summer. He's not interested. So I drove down myself, and then I flew him down to Texas, and he met the Hadsels. I did a blog post on this. You can go read it. And then we drove back together, but he wasn't interested in all the sweepy stuff. But he did say to me after about 3 weeks, he goes, so when are you going to start winning me stuff? And I'm like, all right. So he can handle this crazy. God help him. So I enter him, and he's very good. If he gets a call that says, hey, you won something, he's like, oh. He knows that he knows the lines. My daughter loves to enter too. And my daughter is 23 now. Like, I started entering the year before she was born. So she doesn't know a life without winning stuff. Like, we're always winning things and tickets and things out. And she even enters occasionally. Like, she's like, oh, I was on a live. She's, she's on Twitch or something. I don't do Twitch. Oh, they're having a contest. I entered. And then she'll be like, oh, look what came in the mail. I won it. I'm like, good for you. Or sometimes, here's a good example of projecting to the universe and just being open to whatever. She wanted to start a sticker business for some of her designs. She's going to OCAD in Toronto for it's the Ontario College of Art and Design, now university, and she has a lot of illustrations, and she wanted to design some stickers. And actually, I got her to do my stickers too. And she needed $500 to get going. And she's like, where am I going to get $500? Because she's, she's in school. She's not working. And I entered giveaways, and the one radio station was doing what they call the birthday game. And they spin a wheel, and if it comes on your month, you can text in. If they call you back, you automatically win $500. And then they spin the wheel. If it lands on your birth date, you win $5,000. But she was only projecting for 500. That's why she says, so it was May. So I start screaming in the house, May, text May. So she, I love this kid. So she texts into the station, and she never set up her phone on ring and they don't answer the calls. Younger people, they don't like to answer the phone. So I can hear it in the other room. She has it on the counter, right? And I hear it vibrating. And I'm like, and she doesn't answer. She doesn't recognize the number. So she wasn't going to answer it. And then she's like, oh, wait a minute. I'm expecting a call. So she picks it up. It's the radio station. She won $500. So they spun it. She didn't win 5,000. But she said, that's okay. I didn't need 5,000. I needed 500. And I'm like, so she just got 500 out, like, given to her. So that's what I'm saying. Don't limit. If you're projecting it, and she expected it, she's like, I want to start this business. I'm fully expect to start this business. I need 500. I don't know where I'm going to get it. And it literally landed in her lap. So just be open to whatever comes. Like, I start screaming, text, she got called. She's over 18, so she can enter those giveaways. And she collected. She was so excited. And then they sent her a check. She's very happy. She went and deposited the check, started her sticker business. I don't have any of my stickers out, of course, Murphy's Law. But if you win any books from me and I stick stickers in, she did them, the I'm Lucky and the prize magnet and the spec ones. She did that. So yeah, you be open to whatever happens, right? Just kind of, she needed that money and it showed up. So that's how you're going to align to what you want. So we're going to select it. You got to be specific. You're going to project it. You're going to put it out there, and you're going to visualize what you want. If you have aphasia and you can't see it, write it down. Make a vision board. Have a journal. Take photographs. Do a junk journal, but with sweepstakes stuff or pictures of what you want. You can do this for, why am I thinking sweeps? See, this is the way my brain thinks. Do it with what you want to win. Not what you'd work for, or just stuff that you'll get. See, I'm always expecting to win something. I can spot the word win at 100 paces. Open your reticular activator to whatever goal you have, because then those opportunities are going to come. Like, I am so good at seeing sweepstakes. If I travel, I can spot them in other countries and other languages. I'll know immediately it's a giveaway, even if I can't read it in English. Like, I saw one last year in Mexico. I'm like, oh, that's a giveaway. I took a picture of it. I posted it. I didn't have time to look it up because we were traveling. One of my sleepy friends looked it up, sent me the rules in Spanish. Google translated them for me, and then I did another video. And I'm like, yeah, I can see the word win. And it's interesting because the rules in Mexico are different from the rules in US and Canada, because contests are governed by state, provincial, and federal laws. And so the state and federal laws in Mexico are different. So their sweepstakes rules had some differences between the countries. And I was like, oh, that's so interesting, because their laws are different. So the way the promotion was structured was different than what I usually see. And I just found, as a marketer, I found that fascinating. So that's, yeah, I always project it, expect it. Just trust that you're going to get to where you want. Now, you could go down this way and come around this way. You could take the fast road. You could take the long, windy road. You could take the one that goes over the mountains. You can take the one that goes around the lake. But you'll eventually get there. and then be open to how it looks, because it might not look the way you think, but it might be better than you think. How exciting is that part? And remember, it's in the title. This word is the most important word in the entire title to me. Game. It's a game. We're here to play. We're here to have fun. It's not perfect. It's not always great, but it's a grand experiment, and let's have some fun with it, and let's connect with each other, and let's lift each other up. I'm a big all boats rise with the tide. Oh, there's some more on Instagram now. Someone actually watching on Instagram says, I received a great prize from Subway today, a golf shirt, socks, and sunglasses. I love when my sweepstakes peeps come over to my manifesting peeps. I wanted to win a mattress at Christmas. I'll just keep going till I win it. Oh, yeah, you will. I needed a new mattress. This was 5 years ago now. My hips were really starting to hurt on the mattress that we had. And I thought, oh no. And I was spending money on publishing, and I did not have the funds for a new mattress. And I kept thinking, what am I going to do? Because this is not healthy. And I got a message that I won a mattress from a contest. Now, this was the end of January. I got a message I won the contest in August. And I think what happened was because you had to go, because I'd won tickets. Now, this is a win off a win. I won tickets to go see a concert, but the Canadian National Exhibition, the CNE was on. So when you have concert tickets, you get admission in for free. So we went that, and I knew this one exhibitor was hosting a giveaway. So I dragged George to that, and you had to it was a Westin Hilton, or was it the Marriott? No, I think it was a Hilton. And they had just gotten Pelotons in their hotel. So you had to ride a Peloton for a few minutes. You had to take a picture with their background. You had to post it on Twitter or Instagram. And then you had to tag something. It was a whole thing. I have no idea how many entries they had. Anyway, I think they never awarded the prize. And I think when they were doing their audit, because a lot of companies do reviews and do audits and checks, and they realized they hadn't given away the prize from the summer. So at the end of January, I got a message on Twitter that I'd won this mattress, and we got it. It's brand new. It's like the hotel mattresses. You know how they say you can sleep, if you love the mattress at the hotel, because everyone says, oh, I love going to a hotel because their mattresses are so good. And then they started selling them. So I have a hotel mattress in my house, basically. And it's phenomenal. I think, honestly, if I ever move or I need to replace it, I'm going to buy another one. It's so good. And I won it. So I'm sure you're going to win a mattress. There's so many mattress giveaways out there. And you can actually use one of the tricks to using a sweepstakes aggregate is to actually go and search for the prizes you want and just enter for those. If a company makes you sign up for their email newsletter, but you unsubscribe, does it disqualify you? No, it does not. And I do unsubscribing batches every 3 months or so. I'll go and I'll unsubscribe 5 or 10 a day just to keep it down. But there's a bunch that I do like, because there's companies that I follow, especially on my local, the grocery ones that I get all the flyers, and I have the apps, and they send you the emails, because then they tell you what deals are on this week, and you get points for all that in your loyalty club thing. And you sometimes get exclusive giveaways and that. So I still get all those emails. I never unsubscribe from those. But yeah, I do unsubscribe. I do it in batches. I got that tip from Tom Cavalli at iWin. He recommends, doing, if you do 10 a day for a month, that's 300 that you've unsubscribed from. It doesn't seem overwhelming when you do it that way. Again, like any goal, if you do it in steps, it's easier to manage. Okay. Is there any other questions? Okay. So if you want to review SPEC, I put it in the book right after. So her original book ended here at the Maneuvers for Wishcraft chapter. And then she had, because she was not techie, God bless Helene, she stuck this at the back of the book. She added it in 2009. And yeah. So I put it in here. I realize I'm going to have to put a disclaimer. When I update the book, after I do prizes everywhere, and I update the links in this book to go from how to win cash cards, trips, and more to prizes everywhere. So we'll have a new banner up soon. I'm going to add a disclaimer about how she wrote this in 2009, and it wasn't in either edition. But this article that's here that she wrote in 2009 is on Words for Winning. It's right on the homepage. You can click on it. You can read it. And good evening. I've been studying and practicing the art of living as my desires already here, meditating daily and staying aligned. What do you do to dispel negative thoughts? Well, I do the Silva one, which is always cancel. I love that one. And the reason I find out they say cancel twice is because it's not a normal form of speech. If I say to you, just cancel it, that's like a normal statement. It doesn't invoke any disruption. But cancel, ooh, that's like not an unusual thing you say. And you've already trained your brain when you say cancel twice. Oh, yeah, we need to remove that. I also saw a creator this week, love this idea, is to name your brain. So, Andrea, if you've got a brain that's going off track, give her a name. You can call her Carol. You can call her Carolyn. I don't want to disparage anybody's name. So you could say, Carolyn, where are you going? What are you doing? Why are you going down there? We are focused on this task right now, and you're off in left field. What are you doing? Come back here and focus on the task at hand, please. And so I thought, so the creator, he was a male. He had a woman. She was, so she called her brain Sheila. And I think he calls his brain Kevin or something. Like, Kevin, get back here. That reminds me of that Disney character, the big bird. His name's Kevin. You can name your brain something and just be like, what are you doing? We're here on this task. We're here on Earth, focused on this task, and you're wandering around like a loose toddler. Get back here. Come on. And I think giving it its own identity helps you to be, again, in observer mode and rope it in. I just think it's a fun way to handle negative thoughts. Right? Because if we're here, why should we make it difficult? We should make it fun. Yeah, I'm sure you can. Oh, you're going to name her Leslie. I love it. Leslie, what are you doing? No, it's not time for a nap. We're going to the gym. Let's go. Yeah, you can. I'm sure if you Google it, you can probably find his video. He was very funny. I just love that idea. I'd give him credit, but I can't even remember who it was. If I figure it out, I'll add it to the show notes. Great. Now I'm going to be Googling. But yeah, I'm going to go do that. I'm going to add all those links in so you guys can have them. And now I have to remember everybody that I talked about. And I'm going to have to edit this video when it posts to YouTube. Dig up the coughs. Yeah, it's so funny. What are you going to do? It's live. So it's just go through this year and have fun with it. Set those goals and have fun with them. And remember, it's a whole year. You have a whole year. It doesn't have to happen tomorrow. You have a whole year. That's my best advice. Anyway, until next time. And if you have any questions, send them to questions@wordsforwinning.com. Because you don't have to wait until the next live stream to send me a question. And then I'm the world's worst influencer, because I say it at the end after I remember. I should say it at the beginning. Follow me, hit all the like buttons, hit all the subscribe buttons, hit all the notification buttons, and help me get those numbers up. I would love to see 10,000 subscribers on YouTube this year. I think that's a good goal to have, right? Because the more people that follow me, the more people that I can help reach their goals, which I like to do. That's, again, all boats rise with the tide. So let's do that. Okay. And until next time, good luck and have fun.